We're here in burthrope to meet up with Chunkythrope. He started a Chunkman account that his first chunk is the one I'm currently standing in. And then he rolled the Champions Guild, and now just recently, he rolled all the way down to Taverley Dungeon. I'm going to meet up with him, see how his chunks are going, see how his grinds are going, find out what it was like killing a bajillion Cyclopses so he could get his attack and strength cape. If you haven't yet, you should go check out his series and give him a follow. And yeah, let's go find out where he is and crash his spot. We found Mark. He's hiding here behind, trying to keep me out, but I'm too strong. They won't let me not come into the the Warriors Guild.
Yeah, Gomal and I are pretty close, but he lets everybody enter.
But thank you so much for doing this, Mark. I'm excited to come hang out with you for a bit. Do you mind introducing your series, kind of what you do, when you started it, how it's been going?
Sure. So I started as an Extreme One Chunk Ironman. I started in this beautiful city that is called Burthorpe. And yeah, I started there. I stayed there for about a week of game time to complete all of my chunk goals in Burthorpe, and then I rolled what we are currently in, the Warriors Guild. And that has been by far the biggest grind of this account so far.
The getting into the Warriors Guild, how long did that take you?
Took about 6 days of game time. Once I rolled the Warriors Guild, it was really getting 65 attack and 65 strength on men and women. That with Black Claws, which was my best in slot, took a fair bit. I was getting about 8k ish attack XP and strength XP per hour, so it wasn't very good.
Do you want to show me? Why don't we head over to where your starting chunks were?
I might have to walk though.
Oh, do you want one of these stamina potions?
I wish. I actually have Force Soul now, so I should have
Oh,
brought one
nice.
with me in case I get a Dr. Jekyll. Uh, it'll be a funny clip if I actually do get a Dr. Jekyll and I miss out on my stamina potion.
So this is your starting chunk, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you find anything about this area that surprised you? Something that you didn't expect would be useful to you when you first started playing?
Yeah, so the main reason I kind of like this chunk is you have access to these dummies here, and you can basically train from 1 to 8 attacks super quickly. You get, I think it was 7 or 8 XP every time you kick the dummy up until level 8. So I got probably the fastest way of training early attack, as when you're level 1 attack and 1 strength, you basically had a ton of zeros and a ton of ones, whereas here I was getting constant XP. That was pretty nice. Although it was completely useless at the end of the day, because if we go over to the Rogue's Den pub, this Arganian ale and this beer glass, if you want to take the beer glass on the table and use the beer glass on this barrel right here,
Ooh.
you get unlimited beer. So this was
Free
my
food?
food source. Yeah, and that's the only food you have, but drink the beer now. And your
Oh
attack
no.
just got drained.
Yeah, that
So
seems like it would
what
be a huge pain.
So what ended up happening is I was 8 attack, and I was like, well, I'm gonna be a bit more accurate. So I started hitting my friend Panda over here, and because I had 0 attack after a while, it rendered my attack training completely useless. As it was either I heal back up my hit points with beers and drain all my attack, or I wait until I regen. So it was a lose-lose situation, especially at one defense with no gear, even though they're just level 5 NPC. On a level 1 defense, level 5 account, it hits hard. So I actually have to flinch. I ended up going outside here. There's one by the fence, and I ended up dragging Brioka here to the fence, and I would flinch them.
So you started out as a hardcore, right?
I did.
I just watched that clip yesterday. How did you end up losing your hardcore status?
So I was if we go back to my friend Panda over here, my stats were a bit better. I was probably level 25 by that point. Not that it's super high, but it, enough that I could not worry about dying to the men and women. So I was farming Panda mindlessly, and he roamed around, I would say, right here.
Yeah.
And by instinct, I just clicked on him, but it ended up having a soldier underneath him. So I clicked on the soldier, and then I went AFK, thinking it would come back in 20 seconds and have killed Panda. But because I had like 10 defense, and even at 70 defense, he's still hitting me. So picture me as a level 25, not hitting anything on him, and him hitting me back within 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even looking at the screen when I died.
Yeah, I lost my hardcore while staring at the screen, talking about what I was doing, and then to a dwarf who hit me for 2. I like camped my HP really low. It was pretty
Yeah.
bad.
Us
The-
junkers have the weirdest way of losing our hardcore status.
So from there, you ended up rolling the Champions Guild, right? The Champions Guild, Warriors Guild. Warriors
Warriors
Guild.
Guild, yeah.
And this is where you spent the bulk of your time on this account, correct?
Yes. Calculated for the video of rolling this chunk that I'm actually publishing pretty soon. But I calculated and it ended up taking 1,000 hours.
Wow.
I started here at about 7 days playtime and ended up at 48 days. So it was just under 1,000 hours that I spent here killing Cyclops and getting tokens, which was the before 99 attack. As 99 attack, I did 99 attack first, not 99 strength, because one of the perks of the attack cape, if I grab it, is that you have unlimited access to the Cyclops, meaning you don't need to get tokens to enter the rooms with the Cyclops. And getting tokens like this gentleman over there, not Motion, is doing with his full guttons, is awful. The XP per hour is much lower, and you get hit a lot more, which is probably why you use in guttons, because you get hit a lot. And I didn't have a prayer altar, so I would either have the prayer flick all the time, or just accept that I would get hit a lot. And it
And
was
you
just
were
a pleasant
using
experience.
full myth, right? That was your
Yeah,
best. So you're getting even less because he's getting what, 40 tokens at a time. How many were you getting per
I was getting 30.
30?
I
Okay.
was 25 or 30. Yeah, I was 25. Apologies.
So 25 at a time, but how many did you end up getting total?
I'm doing exactly 10,000 visual armor sets. So I got exactly 250,000 tokens from the
That's
loot tracker,
that's
which is
nuts,
probably a
man.
tiny bit more because I did kill like a couple hundred on mobile, but overall about 250.
Yeah. And then during that time, how many defenders did you end up getting?
I went in the basement until I had 100 dragon defenders. I really wanted 100 for no. It looks good. So after I got 100, I stopped, and I ended up getting 893 rune defenders upstairs. So about 1,000 defenders if you combine my dragon and my rune defenders.
Now, I know there's not really a good way to know this, at least I don't think there is. But if you had to say you were in the top, whatever, top 10, top 100, top 1,000, for the most amount of Dragon Defenders collected, where do you think you would fall?
Most likely top 10.
You think
Maybe
so?
not in
Yeah.
RuneScape 3 because in RuneScape 3 there's an incentive to get more dragon defenders. Here there's
Okay.
none, like unless you lose your dragon defender. But now with Purdue and you can, like, if you PK with your dragon defender, you can use a parchment on it so you don't lose it. So people don't usually lose their dragon defender very often. So at most somebody might come back a couple times because they forgot to use a parchment on it or something. But most people don't get more than 5 dragon defenders in their lifetime, let's just say.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
don't think most
there
people
is
are
only
spending a
no,
1,000 hours on up here on purpose or for fun.
absolutely not. I only know of one other person that did it. Uh, there is another burthrope Extreme account. He doesn't make any content, but we did tier craft a lot because he actually finished the warrior skill with me. And he, however, only spent his time upstairs. So he got like 2 dragon defenders and then spent all of his time upstairs. As the trips are longer and the more XP overall upstairs, but I really wanted a dragon spear, which is why I ended up spending a lot of time downstairs trying to get a dragon spear, as the upstairs Cyclops do not have access to the rare drop table. They only have access to gems and tooth half and loop half of keys.
How was the Dragon Spear a big upgrade for you?
It was to get token. Unfortunately, the Dragon Spear only trains in shared XP and defense XP, so it was not ideal for that. However, I did use it a lot to get some tokens in shared XP. I did basically 60 to 70 defense with my Dragon Spear on shared XP, getting tokens, and then I called it quit, and I only used my best weapon for attack XP, which was an adamant mace.
Addy Mace
Yeah.
is your best in slot. To get
Yes.
not only just to use, but to get 299s with.
Yep. And I did have a rune battle axe as well from the rare drop table, but it's actually worse as it's a 6 ticks weapon and the Addy Mace is 4 ticks. So
Gotcha.
overall, the Addy
Yeah.
Mace was just better everywhere.
Yeah, doing those DPS calculators really makes a big difference, especially when you're talking
Yeah.
about 1,000 hours.
For sure. And like, if you had told me before rolling this chunk that I'd get a rune battle axe and I'd still be using an adamant mace, I'd tell you were crazy, because clearly the rune battle axe must be better. As I remember when I was free to play, like way, way, way back, we're talking like 15 years ago, even
Yeah.
more than 15 years ago, probably like in 2006, 2007. I remember training sometimes
Oh,
as a free to play with a rune battle axe instead of a rune simi because I thought it was better because of the better max hit. So
man,
he told
that
me
hurt
that,
my feelings.
yeah,
2006 was more than 15 years ago.
yeah, it's 18 years ago. It's time flies by.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
It's all good.
I aged 100 years in that second. So you ended up getting your capes, and then you
Yeah.
rolled south, which was
I rolled one out. Yes.
your first chance to do get prayer, right?
Yeah, there's a Druidic altar where you start the quest Druidic's ritual. Knock herb lore. There's actually an altar there in the circle they have, and you can recharge your prayer. So I was stuck at 27 prayer point for the longest time, trying not to lose my prayer point. I would sometimes pray flick and lose a prayer point or two, or lag while I was prayer flicking. Like it happened to me where I was prayer flicking, and everything was going well, and then I ended up lagging, and I got a lag spike that's lasted about 7 seconds, and I basically lose a prayer point per second. So I went from like 35 prayer to 28, and it was pretty depressing.
So you had no way of recharging prayer, or were you getting one doses from somewhere?
At zero, the only way realistically I could recharge my prayer was dying. But if I did die, not that I ever really died on this account, I don't think I've ever died, to be honest, other than losing the hardcore. But if I did die, I would have drained my prayer back from full to whatever I was at before dying. So if I was at 30 prayer point, then I would drain my prayer point back to 30 before coming back to the Cyclops, as I really did not want to benefit from dying, as I felt
Yeah.
like it
So
was didn't make much sense for me at least to, you know, make a mistake, aka dying, and then be like, well, because I died, I'm now full prayer, so might as well benefit from it. So I didn't want to do that.
yeah, especially because it's out of your chunks and stuff.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you have the teleport straight back, right, with the mini game.
Yeah, now with the strength cape, it's amazing. I can teleport as much as. Oh yeah, you meant the burthrope games from minigame teleport. Yes. So if I ever did end up in Lumbridge, because I died, then I could have just used the minigame teleport to teleport back to the games room. So that was
So
helpful.
where are your grinds at now?
So I rolled one south, which unlocked me the altar, Then I roll once north of here, of the Warriors Guild, which unlocks. It unlocked for me the end of Death Plateau, so I could get climbing boots, which I now have. I believe I'm the first. I mean, it makes sense. I'm the only one that started here, so it makes sense. I'm the only one with them, but I believe I'm the first content creator that is extreme that can actually wear climbing boots. So I got that going for me. So I finished the quest. I got these beautiful boots, and then I rolled south again of the Druidic Circle, which is Stavely Dungeon chunk, and that's where I'm currently grinding many things, including
What is
Puro
that?
Puro.
Yeah, so what has that opened up for you?
The first
Pure
thing it did,
Puro.
yeah, the first thing I ended up doing there was actually I now have access to the crystal chest, and I had over 40 crystal keys from my grinds at Cyclops. So I ended up opening all of these, bit of dopamine opening those chests, and then I reflected on what this whole chunk was, and that chunk is Puro Puro, because I did have 17 Hunter, so that means I need 89 Hunter to catch a Lucky Impling. It also means that I need to get 95 Fletching to fletch a Dragon Dart. But at least for 95 Fletching, if we go, let me show you. Do you have an axe with you? Bring an axe, like not your Dragon Battle Axe,
Yeah,
but like a Dragon
yeah,
Axe,
I
Rune
got one.
Axe. You have one with you right now?
Yep.
Okay. If I show you this tree just behind the Warriors Guild where I was at, try to chop this evergreen tree right here. So because you're 99, you're able to chop this tree. I'm not.
Yeah.
This evergreen tree requires 99 wood cutting to chop. So it was backlogged because I didn't have access to an axe. But the Tavoli dungeon, in the entrance of the Tavoli dungeon, there are skeletons around, and they do drop an iron axe. So now it's one of my chunk goals is to get 99 wood cutting. So I have to do
Ooh.
this to chop this tree right here. Oh, oh,
Oh, I
I
thought
thought
that
that
was for
was
you.
my checkle. Now it kind of makes me want to take out a torso. God damn.
Yeah, let's go to the bank real quick. I gotta bank this strength pot too. Make sure I don't lose it.
Yeah, which is also something very nice about this place is if you trade my good friend Lily over here, I did help with the grind that I had access to an unlimited amount of basically combat potion. They're not as good as
Yeah,
super attack and super strength, obviously, but it did help.
sure.
You know, a couple max hit and a bit more accurate, a bit more defense. So it definitely helped
And
having
then you
this
got
shop
food
over here.
here, yeah?
Yeah, Lydio right here was a liver with the potato with cheese mostly. Heals for 16, so it's basically a monkfish. And yeah, not a lot of chunkers have access to okay food, and this is actually pretty good food. So I went from having the worst possible food with 1 HP healing beers to one of the best food source, having unlimited amount of cheese potato or potato with cheese.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a one of the things I really like about chunk content is when things you get chunks that hurt you and help you,
Yeah,
right? So you roll this one and now you got pots and food and stuff like that. But you also have two skill capes. So like
yes,
it cuts both ways. It helps you and it hurts you.
absolutely.
Well, do you want to head over to Puro Puro if that's where
Sure, let's do
you're
it. Let's. I got a shortcut. Saves me like 3 seconds. So I use basically when I'm full, I complete a full trip of Puro Puro. I use my Strength Cape to teleport back to the Warrior Scale, as the Skills Cape perk of the Strength Cape is to have unlimited access to teleport to Warrior's Guild. So I go there, I bank whatever loot I have, I re-gear, come back here, and I run down the trek of Warrior's Guild through Taverley, and I go to the wheat field to have access to Puro Puro.
Is there a plugin
Also,
that you use to find the portals for the Puro Puro?
yeah, so there's this Rude Light plugin that is called Circle Crop Finder or something along these lines. And if I look at it currently, it tells me that in world 482, there's a 95% likelihood that there's a crop circle here. So if I opt to World 42, which I will do right now, and I can see that in World 482, there's currently a crop circle, so I can access Puro through it.
I'm hopping to there we go. Hey, look at that.
So if we go through this bad boy, it brings us to Puro, and it also gives a small boost pushing through the wheat field for 30 minutes, which I want to
Oh,
say
I
is
did.
useless because it can be useful, but it's not extremely useful, but it's definitely something.
So what are you catching here now?
Mostly, I need a lot of runes, as
Okay.
I need 87 magic to enchant an onyx bolt. So I really prioritize catching essence simplings. So if I see any roaming essence simpling like this one, I'm going to try to catch it, but obviously they're going to run away like this, just run away from me. But there is a essence simpling spawn. But the only issue with essence simplings is that they spawn every 30 seconds. So it's very slow to camp. So what I usually do is I catch eclectic implings. So if we go to eclectics, there's an eclectic spawn right here. I have a plugin that tells me where every impling spawns. And right here, there's an eclectic spawn. Let me just juggle the medium clue I have so I don't lose it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I basically farm this eclectic, and whenever the essence impling is close by, I catch it. Other than that, I just focus on this eclectic right here. Probably this guy. Yeah. So now this guy's gonna respawn in a couple seconds, and I just catch it back, rinse and repeat. And whenever the essence impling is close, then I bring it to me.
So
So this has been my life for the past week.
what do you have to get here? What's your ultimate goal here in Puro Puro? Lucky Implings?
Yeah. So 89 Hunter to be able to catch a lucky impling, which is a pretty steep requirement, as my current XP per hour is about 12.5k. So it's a pretty slow grind, but it does unlock a ton of things. So that's a nice thing about it.
What is it unlocked for you?
So Magpie implings unlock a couple upgrades for me. Best in slot, they unlock Mystic gloves, Mystic boots. Ninja implings unlock a rune scimitar. They unlock snakeskin boots, which is best in slot for ranging boots. I also get access to magic logs from nature implings, which will allow me to make my own magic shortbow, which will be my best ranging method. And obviously, dragon implings give access to glories and mystic rope top, which is going to be massive when I do get it. And lucky implings is just a Russian roulette. It could be completely useless. I could get black plate legs, or I could get a rune crossbow, which would be massive for the account.
Yeah. You're gonna do the whole clue log, right? Through Lucky's.
Yeah.
That's you.
So from
Yeah.
lucky implings, because it can drop any item from clues except the Bloodhound pet. I'm gonna go for a 30H pickaxe, 30H axe, everything 30H. And I think last time I calculated, I thought it was gonna take like 53 years, but my estimates were a bit wrong. It should take like 87 years, I reckon.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
This
it's
game will
just
definitely
a
be
lifetime.
still running
I'll
82
see the
years
running.
from
I
now.
don't know that I'll still be running, but the game won't be running in 87 years.
You think so? I don't know. I'm
Sure,
surprised
why
it's
not?
still up now.
Well,
You'd
I
mentioned,
think the old school player base is probably the strongest it's ever been in a long time. So
yeah,
currently it's safe. I don't know that it will be in 10 years again, but then again, when it was brought back over 10 years ago, I don't think any of us thought that we would be playing 10 years later. So
yeah. So when did you start playing RuneScape?
I started in 2006, 2007, roughly. A friend of mine was playing in uh, what was it, like seventh grade or something, and
Yeah,
I got I got curious. I didn't want to admit that I thought the game looked cool because I thought it was a bit nerdy. So I ended up trying the game at home, or actually at the library, because I don't think my computer was good enough back home to run RuneScape, which is pretty
Yeah.
sad. So I booked an appointment at the library, created an account, uh, then managed to get my computer to run RuneScape, so I didn't have to go to the library anymore to play. And yeah, I played in secret for a long time, not knowing that two of my best friends actually played RuneScape, because none of us wanted to admit we played. And now it's the opposite. Nobody cares. Like, everybody's like, yeah, of course I play RuneScape. The game's awesome. But
Yeah, I
back then when we
remember
were kids, it was
as a lot.
pretty secretive that we played RuneScape.
Yeah, it was a lot more shameful for some reason back then. I uh I remember finding it on mini clips. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
that website, but
yeah, because
playing.
I remember also because I believe it was grade 6 when I found out about the game, but didn't try it. When we had like a session at the laboratory, which was basically a room full of computers, um, at school for like recess or something. RuneScape itself was banned from being accessed by the school filtering stuff. So I didn't have access. We didn't have access to RuneScape on the computer from the schools, but we did have access to Miniclip, and that's how some kids managed to play RuneScape at school, just through Miniclip.
Nice.
So because that one was now banned because it had it was full of games that kids would play. So they didn't think about banning Miniclip, but they wanted to
Yeah,
ban
yeah.
RuneScape for some reason. I don't know why you would ban RuneScape. I guess
Probably the
the red
chat.
hitbox. Yeah. I know some people like were and like in talking like 15 years ago plus, debating that because the hit splash looked like a blood splatter when you hit, it should be
Oh
like
yeah.
for not mature, but like blood and gore or whatnot. So they actually changed the way in RuneScape, well, pre-OC back then, they changed the way hits now look. They kept the same for old school RuneScape because they didn't care. But I remember in old school, well, not old school, but Evolution of Combat slash pre-Evolution of Combat, they changed the hit splats to be like a shield instead of a splatter. So it's more of a crest than it was a splatter
Yeah.
to avoid it looking like you're spilling blood on your opponent, which was a bit
Yeah.
ridiculous. Nobody really saw it that way, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this game. To think that this is gory in any sense, back then or now, it's so goofy. You know. What is something that would have made your account harder? One item that would have made it major account harder had it been in burthrope. What's something that you're grateful that you didn't have in your area?
definitely a bronze or an iron axe. As you saw
Yeah.
with the evergreen tree, I need 99 woodcutting, but I actually did not have access to any axe before rolling this chunk I'm currently at. So now I have to do it, but back then,
What is? Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna ask, what
Yeah,
is your training method for woodcutting now to get 99?
now I have access to oak trees and willow trees, so I mean, I'm still gonna have to do, you know, oaks and willows to 99 with an addy axe, which is obviously not the best, but it's still, for a chunker, it's pretty good. A lot of
Yeah.
chunkers end up doing willows or oaks with a steel axe, so, I can't complain. I have it good for a chunker standards. But before I rolled, and that's a mace
Hey.
event on my main account, that's annoying, as I don't have time to do those, unfortunately, on this account. I would have gladly done the maze on the chunk account, though, but yeah, before I rolled this chunk, my best way of getting woodcutting XP would have been evergreen trees, which are just regular trees, and the XP per hour is like 7k at most. And obviously, it's a one, like these only have one log per tree, so you chop it down and it disappears, and they have a slow respawn time. You can't get bird nest from them, you cannot get forestry event from them. So they're just the worst type of tree you could think of, and if I did have access to an axe, that would have meant 99 woodcutting, and I'd still be chopping evergreen trees as we speak, trying to get out of this chunk.
Like you said, it is good for a chunk account to have an Addy axe, but it is terrible for getting 99 woodcutting.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 99 woodcutting on this account that I got with the dragon axe and magic and redwoods, and that felt like it took forever. So I can't imagine the that grind on top of this grind on top of getting the other 99s. It's a long one. What's something that you on the other end you wish you would have had in your chunk?
Let's see. Maybe not an axe, because that's the one thing I wouldn't have wanted, but anything to train a skill, because that's something I realized pretty quickly in the Warriors Guild and the burthrope starting chunk, was that I couldn't train any skills, even if I wanted to. Like, I didn't have access to a fishing spot, I didn't have access to an axe, so I couldn't do woodcutting, so I couldn't do fire making nor fletching, because I didn't have access to a way of getting logs. I didn't have access to I didn't have access to men that I could pickpocket. I didn't have access to any type of raw food or bread or whatnot to train my cooking. So there was literally no skill I could do. So all my skills stayed at level 1 for the longest time, as there was literally no way for me to train anything but combat skills. So maybe like a fishing spot for food would have been nice. And sometimes if I wanted to change my mind and not do combat all day, it would have been nice to do some fishing or something.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What is your in-game goals for your account? When do you feel like, okay, that's it. I've done everything I wanted to do. Time to put it away, start a new account, change things up. Do you have
I
something
don't know
in
that I have
mind for that?
I don't know that I have a specific end goal, but if I had to choose one, I would say if I do manage to roll God War's Dungeon, which is a possibility if I go north quite a bit. Now that the only thing that restricts me from getting God Wars currently is that I don't have 15 agility, which is an obstacle you have to climb over just north of here. So if I don't do that, then I can't even roll towards God Wars. But it's something I want to do in the future. So I will be lumping to 15 agility at some point. And when I decide to do it, if I manage to roll the God Wars, I'm not going to have access to all the God Wars room, as I don't have 70 agility, so I can't do Saradomin. I don't have access to Mitchell Grapple, so I can't do Armadillo. But I think finishing Bandos and Zamorak would be pretty freaking massive on an extreme. And I think that'd be a
Yeah,
good place to either like call a season and take a break, or call the account and be like, well, I did something that no other or no other extreme has done. So I think that's where I want my account to rest.
do you think that with your current, say you got God Wars right now, do you think you could do
Yeah.
Bandos and Zami?
Uh, if I get all the upgrades I need from Puro, it'll be rough, but it'll be
Yeah.
doable. But yeah, it would be a pain. But I could at least get a kill or two every trip,
Yeah.
and it would just be very long and tedious. But if I do get like a Staff of the Dead, that's basically a whip. If you use in melee, surprisingly, it's better than a Dragon Simi. It is 5-tick delay though, but it's got good offensive stats, so that'd be a massive upgrade to actually fight the boss. Obviously, if you get like a Bandos Chestplate or Bandos Chestplate, Bandos Asset, sorry, big upgrade. Bando, it's a huge upgrade. So all these things would also help further with grinding more, basically, which I always find fascinating about games like RuneScape and similar game, not at all similar game, but similar concept with the Diablo games, is that you grind bosses to get better gear, to grind more bosses faster, which I always find funny.
It's just like keep progressing, keep progressing. Probably why we're
Exactly.
still playing this game 20 years later, because we're all crackheads. That little bit of
Pretty
dopamine.
much.
Well, man, I
Doesn't take
really
much.
appreciate I appreciate you taking the time, show me around,
Sure.
tell me about your chunks. It's been a lot of fun. So not only do you do YouTube, but you also stream. How's streaming been for you?
Surprisingly, because not a lot of people know this, but 9 years ago, or almost 10 years ago now, when Old School came out, after a couple of years, I decided to try to stream and do YouTube. I was big into PKing at the time. I was a really good PKer for the standards of 10 years ago. Now I wouldn't be as good because the meta has changed a lot, but I was PKing basically all day was what I liked the most about RuneScape. And I decided one of my friends really liked watching me play. He would come over and watch me in Edgeville where I was doing my PKing and got me the idea to, try streaming and making videos out of it. So 9 years and a half, 10 years ago, I started recording my peeking clips and streaming my peeking clips. I had more success on Twitch than I had on YouTube. So I did a lot more streaming than I did videos, and I had a ton of fun. Unfortunately, I had to stop because college was taking too much of my time. I was enrolling into a master's degree, and I knew it would take too much of my time. So I ended up stopping Twitch and YouTube, and when I decided to make this chunk account, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to try it again. Now YouTube is doing good, and I always love streaming. So even if I had one viewer, I would always stream just for the heck of it because I always enjoyed streaming a lot.
Do you have a streaming schedule, or is it just kind of when you are playing?
I'd say usually it's pretty late. Like for me, it's about to be 7 p.m. for me, and usually I would stream at 8 p.m. is when I would start a stream, and I would stream probably until 11 midnight, and maybe 3 to 4 times a week, depending on my work schedule of the week, and depending on what I'm doing on the account. Obviously, if I have something big, like a big level coming up, then I want to stream it to show my viewers.
Yeah.
But if I'm just doing woodcutting all day, and I'm not getting any specific level, then I probably would not stream it. But if I'm getting 8300 today, then for sure I'll stream it because it's a nice achievement to be able to catch Dragon Implings. So it'd be like catching my first Dragon Impling live or something,
Yeah. No, I've hung out in your streams quite a bit, and it's
Yeah.
always a lot of fun, and it's also nice to have as you're playing to be watching a streamer to feel like you're kind of doing it together.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. I appreciate you taking the time. People can find you at MarcRS on Twitch and YouTube, right?
The Twitch one, I might change it one day, but for now it's Chunkythrope, so it's my in-game name is my Twitch channel. As
Gotcha.
MarcRS was already taken.
It was me. That was my account.
That was you, eh?
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
I'll sell it to you though. 100 Dragon
Nice.
Defenders.
Oh, well, I have 102, so you know what? Deal.
Hey. But yeah, so anyone, if you're listening, you should go and follow and subscribe. And yeah, thank you again, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, my pleasure.